Holy shit! We just watched 3 episodes of The World Is Still Beautiful.
Yeah. So, what did you think of the first 3 episodes? First of all, we had it was a bit of a roller coaster for both of us, would you say?
I suppose so.
Did what you got compare in any way with what you were expecting?
No. Well, sort of. From the cover image, I could tell it was going to be kind of a slow show.
Right.
Because that's just how it looked. And then the first episode was kind of like, I don't really know where this is going. And then, I guess by the end you know where it's going. But it was, it seemed like, oh, maybe this is going to be like a random adventure kind of deal.
Okay, for me the whole first episode, kind of like with Blade and Soul, the world building is what sold me on it. Because she gets off this boat and she has this pirate crew, I guess, that she was with, and they're all talking about how they're gonna go get booze and hookers after they drop her off and stuff. And then she goes into town, and we're learning a bunch of stuff about the town, about how it's sort of a dark-ish big city. They're kind of seedy, and they kind of betray her trust and stuff. But then she gets taken in by this lowly family. I loved how the family she gets taken in by, they literally live in a half-sized house. You remember that? How they had to bend down to get into their own house, and I was like, that felt legit. That's really what it's like to be poor in some countries, And I was like, oh man, this is some decent world building. It's up there with I was like, maybe this is gonna beat Blade and Soul for my world building show. But again, I did no research on this show at all before watching it. We didn't know what it was. We just watched it.
Yeah.
So first impression that Victor had was an adventure show.
Yeah, because she was the only person in the opening theme. I guess because they were delaying showing the guy in the first episode.
Right, because they show him in the next opening theme.
Why did they show the opening theme of the first episode then?
Right.
What's the point?
It only shows her, and it really, the name of the show is The World Is Still Beautiful. So it sounds which, by the way, there's been, Kino's Journey, the subtitle of that show was, This World Is Ugly, but It's Also Beautiful. There was a show called This Ugly Yet Beautiful World. There's been a lot of shows with titles like this.
Yeah.
But The World Is Still Beautiful is not an adventure show, as far as we can tell.
Yeah.
And that didn't really become clear until episode 3. Because in episode 2...
I thought it was clear in episode 2 that they were staying where they were.
Well, I thought they were going to stay in this kingdom,
Yeah.
but, because in episode 2, the girl explains that the way her magic works, because she can make it rain, and she's like, oh...
She can make it rain!
She's like, okay, so for me to use my magic, you who wants me to do the magic has to show me, you personally have to show me the beauty of the world that you live in, and then I will write a song based on that beauty, and then I can make it rain. Which really heavily implied that he was going to show her around his kingdom, and she was going to learn all this stuff about it and start singing.
And then she sings the song anyways, without being shown the beauty of the kingdom.
I guess she saw the beauty of him, because the song's pretty much about him.
Yeah.
But she sings it because it's an emergency and she needs to put out a fire. But then by episode 3, she's singing it just for him.
But then it kind of feels like she was bullshitting about not being able to sing it completely.
I don't even know. I really don't.
Maybe it's an emotion. She has to feel it emotionally.
I don't know what it was. It was strange. She sang it because we were sitting there when she first said, oh, you have to show me the beauty of this world for me to sing. We were like, okay, that's kind of obviously just to facilitate the plot they want to have, which is going to be that he shows her around the kingdom or whatever. And then she explained the rules of it, how it's oh yeah, I need to write the weather. She was what was it? The climate, the people, and the place will inspire the lyrics, the verse, and the backdrop music. None of that's true. She just starts singing, and by the way, because in the first episode, she can summon wind, right? And she does it in the second episode too. And when she does the wind summoning, she's doing a chant. And so what I was expecting her song to be was some Final Fantasy X type shit, where it's how did Yuna's fucking song in that go? It reminded me of the I was expecting some shit like that, and instead she sings this epic pop ballad.
The corniest kind of epic pop ballad,
it's like that, English and Japanese mixed pop ballad song with full instrumentation that we assume is diegetic, I guess she can sing the whole instrument section.
Pretending that her earrings are like amps. Just like play the music.
The first episode
Magic.
really tried to establish this girl as like a badass. Like the opening theme is all like action shots of her running and jumping.
Yeah.
She's running around a lot in the first episode. She shows up on like a pirate ship.
She beats up kidnappers at the end with
Right.
her wind power.
She beats
you
up
know?
these. Well,
And
like
it
even
kinda,
before
it
that,
felt like it was building it up to like she was gonna,
Right.
you know, do something cool
because
at the
like
end.
they mug her and she's like getting ready to do something. And already at that point, I was like, I said like 3 minutes into the episode, she needs to do something badass.
She dresses like
because
a badass.
they're building her up to be a badass. Like she has all those shots where like she's standing there and her wind's blowing in the hair and the camera's panning
Very
up.
Powerful
you know?
shots.
So that's how episode 1 is. And the music, especially in episode 1, is
Ridiculously
insanely epic.
For no good reason.
It's like some fucking like
After seeing the next 2
Eureka
episodes,
7 shit.
I can safely say that the epicness of that music was completely unnecessary.
Right.
Like they could have toned it down a little bit.
But yeah, it's like really epic soundtrack. And then she gets mugged by these dudes, and like she looks like she's about to go Super Saiyan and chase them down, but then she's too hungry and she can't fight.
Yeah.
So then later in the episode, she does take them out, but it's actually through like her weird wind power thing. Kind of unsatisfying, but
Yeah.
at least it showed that she was powerful. So then we get to episodes 2 and 3, and the focus pretty much just shifts completely from her to the king, who is this like 10-year-old boy, I guess, probably 13 or something, who she's been married to now. Like, you know, the shocker at the end of episode 1 is, oh, he's a kid, because everyone built him up to be like this crazy, like dominating force who's taken over the world in like 2 years. And it turns out he's a kid. And so the focus then totally shifts to their relationship with each other. And suddenly it's like everything about, like, she doesn't matter. She has no personality.
Yeah, they don't really develop
other than
her
like
besides-
her moral
yeah.
absolutism.
Besides her being
And-
like a strong
But they're
female.
developing the crap out of this kid. So she's just like, it's like she only exists in service of him, which is such a shame, because it seemed like strong female character. Like this was going to be some kind of almost like feminist moral show. And then she just suddenly, her only existence is to provide character development for this kid, you know, who we learn a lot about in episodes 2 and 3. And we learn nothing about her. And she like completely, like instantly just wants to make him better. Like she cares a lot about him out of nowhere.
He had such coldness in his eyes.
Well, because apparently
she wanted to help him.
Apparently he cared about her, and therefore she now feels strongly that even though he's a total dick, she feels like she has like is just like really affectionate towards him.
Wanted to show him the beauty of the world because he's so jaded to everything now.
It felt so like, okay, the thing is, it's obviously a Beauty and the Beast story or The King and I, like a little bit of both. Like as soon as like in episode 2 I was sitting there singing like tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. So the kid is the beast and he comes around really quick and he clearly likes her. I don't know, it just feels so weird to me. Like Belle put up more of a fight than this girl does, and this girl
She does start liking him really fast, and then at the end of the 3rd episode they're sleeping in the same bed, and it's like
right, like in Beauty,
and he's like totally naked. And
in
it's
Beauty
like,
and the Beast, it took like a while, and it's like part Stockholm syndrome, but she kind of like realizes that and Beast isn't. But that's the thing. The difference there is Beast actually was a nice guy, who just acted like a dick because he didn't know how to show his emotions. But when it came down to it, like she didn't really have to change him. He just was a good guy who wasn't good at expressing himself. This kid is an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, not only is he bad at expressing himself, but he also just isn't a good person fundamentally. So for her to already be pretty much like on his nuts.
He has like the dark backstory though. He's not totally bad. He's just he's supposed to be a ruthless king because he needs to, you know, consolidate his power and intimidate his foes.
But
he does
he
act
doesn't,
like a cheeky
though.
little
That's
bastard
the thing.
sometimes.
He doesn't need to be that, and the fact that she's already so she's not totally accepting of his bullshit, but she's more than she should be. You know, like
possibly.
I understand her thinking. Like, okay, if she was like standoffish, if she was like, okay, I see potential in this kid, so I'm going to help him. But it's more like she's going, oh, he he thinks I'm comforting, therefore I'm going to bastardize
He
this
ends up,
ritual thing.
At the end of episode 3, he has the high ground over her.
Right.
Where it's like, she is no longer sort of in control
Right,
of
she doesn't
him.
feel in power over him. He feels in power over her at this point. And in episode 3, like, because her whole thing was, I'm not going to sing at this gathering because this is a sacred ritual and we're going to, you know, like, it's meant to be done a certain way. And then she finds out that he really, really likes it when she sings, so she sings for him. Literally for him.
Yeah.
And then, like, right after that, he immediately has all the power over her. Maybe it'll change. Maybe the next episode would change it. I don't know. I don't really want to keep watching because so much of, like, my expectation was totally subverted. There's been no more world building at all. We haven't seen... we haven't left the fucking castle since episode 1. You know? She shows up in the castle, she gets thrown in the dungeon, she breaks into his room, and then she, like was leaving, but all we saw was, like, the cart that she was in. We never have seen the town again after all that buildup of the town in episode 1, making it seem like this cool, interesting place. And she's like, "Show me the beauty of your world." Why wasn't episode 3 all outside the castle? Why wasn't it all exploring the beauty of this world? I don't know. It just seems like they completely took the premise they had and wasted it so that they could have a Beauty and the Beast romance story. What are these notes I took? There was a great line that she said where she was like, "You own the world, but you don't look at it."
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool because it's very true to reality. It's a line that has power to our world because we as humans own the world and we treat it like it's nothing. We just ignore it. We ignore the world around us. For me, like, something I've always had a problem with is how people are so stuck on, like, people will look at, like, a brochure or something, they'll be, "Oh my god, that place is so beautiful." And I'm like, but our town is beautiful if you look at if you're interested, you know? Like, for me, I will, like, go behind a McDonald's and there'll be, like, a lot, and I'll be like, "This lot is so cool looking," you know, because no one's there, and it's just this interesting area. Or those little forests that you pass by when you're driving down the road and there's, like, a little creek or something. We used to explore those all the time. So, to me, I've always been able to find the beauty in just the minute. And that's why whenever people are like, "Oh, you need to get out and see the world," I'm like, but I see so much just around me. And most people ignore the little things around them. They're only concerned about the big things that they know are supposed to be beautiful. So, I thought that was a great line, but so far we haven't capitalized on it in the slightest.
Yeah.
The kid has not learned anything about the beauty of his kingdom.
Man, he started picking flowers for her.
Because it's for her.
Yeah.
It's not him seeing the beauty himself. He doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. The beauty he sees is in that she appreciates it. So...
And he's already managed to win her over into thinking he's super cute and... yeah.
So there's this scene in episode 3 where everyone's looking out the window at the rain, and they're like, "It's like falling light." And what did you say?
I said, have they never thrown a glass of water before?
Like, have you never seen any water spilling in any capacity? Like, I know you've never seen rain, but it's
really, I hate those
falling
exaggerated
water.
moments in shows where they see this new thing like rain, and it's like this incomprehensible revolutionary thing. Like, they've never even could comprehend anything like it, and it's like, you know, maybe I'm just not surprised by things, and so I don't get it.
Are you going to keep watching this show?
Yeah.
Even if I don't?
I'll give it episode 4, but if it ends up, like...
If it pisses you off, it's
over. If it pisses me off, then I'll stop.
So you're giving it one more. I'm going to go ahead and put it on hold now, unless I hear something great about it. Because to me, I can see where the show's going. It's done enough already to make me go, really?
Yeah.
That I'm like...
Man, it's going for this weird show to romance.
It feels like, it just feels like a romance show. There's been no adventure. There's been no world building. I don't know how long it's supposed to be. I don't know what it's based on. Maybe it's a manga or a novel series or something. Because I'm sure it's an adaptation. It feels like one. But altogether, I'm pretty like, yeah, okay, I'm done. You know, if people tell me that it suddenly gets great, or that there's this great message in it, or that it turns around and, like, in episode 3 was like a red herring, then I'll watch it. But I'm pretty done. So I guess that wraps up our video.
Yeah.
We just gotta go watch Game of Thrones, and I gotta edit. So bye.
Game of Thrones annotation.